Now, it hasn't always been the case, but there are a lot of great female characters out there in mainstream comics, not just as part of a team, but also in their own solo titles. Longtime Kapowian Ardella and I are going to take a look at some of the recent releases that have a lady in top billing.
There are some awesome female protagonists coming onto the scene at the moment, Sonya, and we have some incredible titles to review today. First up is a spin-off from Marvel's Spider-Verse event, issue 1 of Spider-Gwen, written by Jason Latour with art by Robbie Rodriguez.
In an alternate universe, it was Gwen Stacy who got bitten by a radioactive spider and consequently took up the mantle of Spider-Woman. There are a lot of other differences in this dystopian universe though, including Frank Castle being a cop and Matt Murdock being the Kingpin.
Which is a lot to take in a very short amount of time, and that's where my issue with this comic really lies. It is an issue 1, but I found it incredibly hard to follow without having first read Edge of the Spider-Verse issue 2.
Yeah, I do agree with you there, but there is still a lot to love in this comic. Rodriguez's artwork is so cool, and Rico Renzi's colour palette really makes some of those panels pop. I'm going to give it a borrow.
Yeah, I really do think that if nothing else, it made me want to go back and read all of those Spider-Verse comics that I had missed. I also really enjoyed the way that the character of Gwen was written,
Totally.
So I'm going to give it a borrow too.
Awesome, so from new heroes to an old one, from a galaxy far, far away. Issue 1 of Princess Leia is written by Mark Waid, with pencils by Terry Dodson, inks by Rachel Dodson, and colours by Geordie Belair.
Following on directly from the final scene of Star Wars A New Hope, this title sees Leia struggling to find a new purpose in the wake of Alderaan's destruction. Hard enough without everyone around her finding a reason to criticise, patronise, and completely dismiss her.
But Leia isn't about to stand for that, and she soon finds a way to get herself into trouble on her own terms. There are the beginnings of a really interesting journey here in this first issue, and although I do have a few niggles about the consistency of the artwork, especially in some of the character faces, I'm going to give this one a borrow.
Yeah, I really wasn't sold on this one, and I really felt that a lot of the movie references came through as really forced. I didn't like that there was a lot of discussion in it as well, and not nearly enough actual pew-pew. So I'm going to have to give this one a berry.
Okay, well, moving on for our final review, we go from a hero to an anti-hero. Dark Horse's Lady Killer is written by Jamie S. Rich and Joelle Jones, who does double duty on the artwork. If you've ever imagined a comic which is a combination of Mad Men, Danger Girl, and 100 Bullets, then, well, you're gonna have to think of something else because it's already been written.
Yeah, and it is, not to put too fine a point on it, extremely cool. Josie Schuler is your standard, everyday, early 60s housewife. Except that while her husband is at work, she operates as a merciless freelance assassin. As a lover of vintage fashion myself, the artwork's nods to the style of the era set me up with all the appropriate expectations and then gleefully undermined them.
Yeah, the sensory dissonance in the artwork is genius. Everything about Josie's home life, from her cherubic children to her endearingly placid husband, who, interestingly, looks a lot like the husband from 101 Dalmatians, is classic Disney. But then the whole thing gets doused liberally in violence and becomes utterly captivating.
Now, this title is already a few issues old, but I've only just discovered it, and just 5 pages into the first issue, I couldn't wait to find out more about Josie's motivations behind moving into this line of work. I couldn't wait to devour the rest of the series, and it's a definite buy from me.
Yeah, look, I couldn't agree more. The dialogue is snappy and darkly hilarious, and Jones has really outdone herself with the character models and the brutal action. I am well and truly hooked on this. It's a buy from me as well.
So if you have any other recommendations for awesome female protagonists that you'd like us to review here on Kapow, leave a note in the comments or drop us a line on Facebook.